Hey friends, today we are doing something a little bit different. I have my beautiful friend Kelsie Shelaine here from the podcast Confident to Homeschool. And so part one will be here on Kingdom Life Unfiltered. And then you can find part two of this episode on her podcast, Confident to Homeschool with Kelsie Shelaine. And so I'll make sure to drop that below in the show notes. I hope you enjoy. All right, welcome to the Kingdom Life Unfiltered podcast. I'm your host, Janine Marino, and today I have Kelsie Shelaine, and I am so excited. Did I pronounce that correctly?
You did. Good job.
I am so excited to chat with you. She is a wife, homeschool mama of four, and the host of Confidence to Homeschool podcast. She's
Yes.
passionate about equipping and encouraging Christian moms to step boldly into their calling to homeschool without the fear, overwhelm, or comparison through practical tips, biblical truths, and real life conversations. So I'm excited to chat with you today and just really dive into, kind of a little bit of your story to start. I'd love to hear what led you to homeschooling. Was it something you had planned or was it like a surprise calling?
It's funny. I have not, I guess I didn't really grow up like with a relationship with God, but I remember having my daughter and her being this tiny baby and just remembering that I just had this like overwhelming feeling of like, there's nothing I can do to take care of her in this world, because I am flesh and that God can protect her so much better than I ever could. And so I was just like, that's it. I remember laying in bed and, just being like, God, she's yours. Above all, she's yours. And shortly after that, I feel like he very much just put it on my heart that you will be homeschooling. And so it was always in my mind from her being a small child that like it's going to be a thing. But then when it came time to actually do it, I panicked. I absolutely was like, I don't know what to do. How do I even begin? Where do I start? And so straight up, like all of my insecurities, all of my insecurities started bubbling up in that moment. And so I called a sweet friend of mine. She had homeschooled, she has homeschooled six kids at one point or another. And she goes, Kelsie, it's kindergarten. Do you know your colors? Do you know your shapes? Do you know your numbers? And I was like, yes. She's like, you got the alphabet, right? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, okay, so you can do at least kindergarten. She said, just go ahead and choose for 1 year that you're going to do homeschooling. And next year you can reassess. And I'm like, okay, well, let me set the scene that whenever I chose homeschooling, I was then pregnant with my second. Um, had him, managed to work out the kinks. We still stayed homeschooling after that first year. Then I got pregnant again like 6 months later. And so then I was like, God, but really? And then it just became like me watching my neighbors out the window, leaving for school at 7 a.m.
Yeah.
and me thinking about, I'm going to get these two other babies up out of the house in order to go to school and, or take her to school, come back, wait around all day. When really homeschooling's only taken me about 30 minutes to an hour and it's working. And okay, I think I'm just going to stay here and do this for a minute. And then 1 year turned into 5 years and turned into homeschooling my boys. And it was just how it all came about. Like
Yeah.
it's been one of those figure it out, trial and errors, learn as you go, but it's been fun and rewarding every step of the way.
Oh gosh, I love that. And it's so true because I remember I actually didn't homeschool my first
Yeah.
um well right away. And we had some issues like in public school. And so I was actually on a mission trip and someone was like, "Well, you should just homeschool." And I thought, like those crazy people, like I'd never
Right.
been homeschooled. I wasn't raised a believer either. And so
Right.
I was like, I don't know about that. And it was literally like God flipped a switch in my head and was like, you're homeschooling. And I was
I'm
like, this
doing
is
it.
the greatest idea ever.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. I mean, it was definitely a big yes whenever it came down to it. But I always laugh. I'm like, teaching a human to read is like a superpower, Like it's the coolest thing ever to be able to. And I have a friend that just graduated school for her teaching degree, and we were talking the other day, and she was like, those light bulb moments, like watching them flip, as like you said, they also have those times where they're struggling, they're struggling, they're struggling, and then all of a sudden, like a flip switch it or a switch flips, and they start picking up reading or they start picking things up that they had really been struggling with. And to see your own child, the child that you love more than anything in this world, to get to be present in their moments of aha moments,
Yeah.
like so fun. It's so fun. Now, I mean, is there times that I'm crying on the back porch? Maybe. Like, is there times that I'm fairly sure that I am failing miserably? Yeah, absolutely. More at the beginning now or than now. Um, but that's one of the things with homeschooling, and that's one of the reasons I did the Confidence to Homeschool podcast was because I don't necessarily think as a mom you need the ABCs to how to homeschool.
Right.
I think more you need the confidence to do so. The
Totally.
confidence that even when it's hard, you love this child more than anybody else in the world, and you're willing to pick up the pieces and find the answers and do the research and dig in and find whoever knows the answers in order to be able to move forward because you love them that much and you're never going to let them, you're never going to want to let them fail. So who better than to pick it up and move it along?
Yeah. Well, not only that, but I feel like gosh, these days there's so many resources that are done for you, ready
Yes.
to go, ready to pick up, ready to just read along with them. Like it's almost like sometimes you're just learning along with them. Like it's like more like of a parallel than this is how you do it and this is, which makes it so much more fun. It's just like I don't know, it's like play. Like it can be so fun to do
Yes.
that. And we're not tied into the public school system where we have to hit this milestone at this time, otherwise you're going to be a failure, like it's not
Right.
like that. And
Right.
really each individual child can be where they are and
Yes.
just continue to move forward and it doesn't matter because they're going to get there. You're not
Yes.
even if you did nothing, you're not going to have an 18-year-old that doesn't know how to read if you're putting books in front of them all the time. You know what
Yes.
I mean? It's not
I do.
even so I feel like I don't know, that gave me so much freedom and just ease and peace when I felt like God was talking me through that because I have some kiddos that have ADHD or even like some learning differences and it's a challenge sometimes to be like, well, we're not there, but
Mhm.
would they be there if they were in school? Like there's so many kids that are in school that are not at the level of the grade that they're in. And then they feel deflated because
Yes.
they're not on the right pace, you know?
Yes.
And so, anyways, I think that
Yeah.
schooling can be such a blessing for that.
I would 100% agree because I was one of the children that went through school and I still have ADHD. And now I'm learning how to make that my superpower rather than make it like a bad thing. And so I did feel defeated through school and getting into adulthood and girl, I fought for every ounce of confidence that I have now. I fought for it because it was gone. Like public school had sucked all of it out of me. As far as like, I just didn't feel like I could do anything right. I felt like everybody thought I was stupid. so on and so forth. And it's so funny to come from the transformation at one point in time, like my family all very much worried about what I was going to become, to finding Jesus. And one of the things that my aunt told me on a regular basis is don't pray for patience, pray for wisdom. And I'm so grateful that she did because I feel like God has just absolutely like given that to me. And so now I'm on this other side of it where I have a whole newfound confidence. And so then I can just speak with wisdom and help people through things and so on and so forth. And so I love that part of it. But to go back to what you said by each child, like my daughter started in pre-K. I talked to her pre-K teacher and she was like, she's just not ready for kindergarten. Like you can send her, but she's just not ready. And I felt the same gut feeling in my own, mommy instincts. And so I was like, okay, well, I guess we'll just, start here, like I said. And then my son, I actually really didn't start like honing in on schooling and reading and all of that till he was about 6.5. And so he was a little bit later. And I think that a lot of people would have been concerned about that, but I just had it reaffirmed in my soul over and over again. Like you said, he's not going to be 18 and not know how to read. He is going to know how to read. I know that I will get that for him, but I just kind of kept putting it in front of him over and over again. And it was like he wasn't ready. He wasn't ready. He wasn't ready. And then all of a sudden, at some point in time, I was like, all right, bro, we got to do this. And he told me the whole time, like, I can't do it. And he's my perfectionist child. If
Mhm.
he cannot do it perfect the first time, he doesn't want to do it.
Yeah.
Like, if he is not fully, completely confident and capable in it, he just doesn't want to do it. And so I just, kept going, it's okay. If I can teach your sister to read, I can teach you to read. And now he's like reading. And it's just so fun to see that you can start later. And now there's so many studies saying that these kids that start academics so much earlier, they peak at a certain point and then they start having behavioral issues and they start having all of these other problems. Where if you start a little bit later, then they're developmentally ready to do all of those things. And they pick it up so much faster. It became from like, I'm fighting him to get things done to now he's like, I love school and I love to learn. And that's what I want is I
Yes.
want that love of learning because if you can have a love of learning, there's nothing in this world that you can't do. There's nothing you can't find a book about or information about or a class about. There's nothing. The sky is the absolute limit. And then you allow them to take what they love and run with it. And
Yeah.
then it's just and what a better way to trust God with your children than to allow them to just go with their God-given instincts of what they love and run with it.
The
It's
best.
the coolest, right? It's so fun.
It is. It really is awesome. All right. So tell me, like, how does your faith shape the way that you homeschool and like raise your kids?
Oh, that is like I said, those crying on the back porch moments and just crying out to God and going, you gave them to me. You love them more than I do, which is a lot, and what do you want me to do, Lord? Like, I just think one of my favorite things to do is to raise them with Him, obviously with my husband as well. But like, I am primarily home with them on a regular basis. My husband is military. He travels quite a bit. He's gone quite often. And so like I really have to like ask God, what do you want? What do you think? What do you and there is times that I have been on the back porch struggling, trying to figure out like what am I going to do with this particular situation? And it's crazy how he will show up and give you answers,
Yeah.
like it's crazy. He'll show up and he'll tell you, if you tried it this way, maybe something would change. And then it does. Or
Mhm.
But on top of that, the fact that he gave us these kids and they're like direct images of us, like they're little walking mirrors, like he totally helps refine me as a person.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
He totally defines us as people through our children because, like I have said in one of my other episodes, like I heard Addison, my 11-year-old daughter, she was in the room going, "Dang it." And I did not like hear that. I did not like to hear that come out of her mouth. Like I did not enjoy that. And then I realized, oh, that was me. She got that from me. That's my fault. And so he will use every part of motherhood in order to
Totally.
refine you and make you grow. So, does that answer your question?
Yes, yes, I
Okay.
love that. That's so good. Okay, so what would you say to the mom that is just feeling like, I don't know if I can do that, or maybe she's in a season of just feeling that heavy overwhelm with this task of, teaching our kids. What would you say to them?
So I think I have to break that into two different moms because if we are talking about the mom that has kids in public school currently and she is watching her kid struggle and she's watching her kid fail and or fail quotations, um for her I would tell her take a deep breath, step back, and let's just start from where we are. Find what matters to you when this child grows up. What is important to you when this child grows up? So, like, I had to reassess with my daughter and remind you, I've been homeschooling her since kindergarten. But recently, I had to reassess with her what is most important to me. I find it important that she can speak. I feel like we're going into a place where AI is kind of taking over writing and you can, chat GPT any kind of anything for a writing response. And so we are in like fifth grade where writing is just like a huge thing in our language arts right now. Um, and I was like, this is great, grand, wonderful, and all, but she hates to write. She absolutely hates writing. It's a struggle for her. But what's important is that she can, to me, what is important is that she can speak well and that she can get her thoughts across and she can get her ideas across. So I think to the mom that is like trying to figure out, I'm struggling with this whole public school system. What do I do? I think the first couple of things that I would tell them to do, one, take a deep breath. Two, let's meet them where they are. If they are in fifth grade in school, but they are in third grade in math, be in third grade in math. Don't make them feel bad about it. Let them be in third grade in math because guess what happens? Whenever you get those multiplications and or you if we have to take it back to addition and subtraction, when they're gonna pick it up faster because they're more developmentally ready to pick those things up.
Hmm.
Let's start there. Let's start where they're ready to start picking those things up. And it's just going to snowball so quickly. And then before you find it, you're going to be in the fifth grade math. And, those foundations are just so important. And so I think that that's one of my biggest things that I would tell somebody who is like pulling their kids from public school is just let them be where they are. If you are the mom that is at the very beginning and trying to decide, like, do I homeschool? Do I not homeschool? Then I would tell you exactly what my friend told me. If you know how to, if you know your letters, you know your shapes, you know your numbers, you know all of the things, just start there and let that be enough. And you can choose every year what you want to do. Like if you end up getting 2 or 3 years in and you're like, this isn't working, you have other options. And like we talked about, you have so many other options, even online or resources or whatever it may be. Excuse me. So I think that that's what I would tell that mom is like, if you're at the very beginning of this, just know that you can do this year by year. I will say, going back to public school, I think they are mowing my lawn right now. I
I
am so sorry. They were
can't
not
hear
supposed
it at
to.
all. It's fine. You're
Okay.
good.
Um, so I think going back to that public school mom real quick, I think that one thing that I would tell them is that you need to give it a couple of years. And I would tell this to a regular, like stepping into it as well, mom. This is a blanket statement. I changed my mind. Um, Give it a couple of years because it takes some time to figure out your teaching style. It takes some time to figure out their learning style, and it's different based on kids.
And it
It
changes.
changes. And
Yeah.
it changes, right? It
Yeah.
changes. What's working one year may not work the next year. It changes as well.
Yeah.
And
And don't be
so,
afraid to change with
yes,
it, because I feel like sometimes you're like, but we bought this curriculum and it's not
yes.
working. But you
Well, and then
can learn
halfway
if you
through, it's
want.
not working.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fully.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And so I think just giving it time and giving it patience and giving it to God and giving it grace,
Yeah.
and you're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. Nobody loves them as much as you do. You're going to do it. You're going to show up for your kid, period.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's really more about, I don't know, sometimes I think about homeschooling, especially, like you had said with AI and all of that. And sometimes I think, as long as like the biggest things for us is character building is huge
Yes.
and really teaching them like life skills and how to find the answer. I don't care if
Yes.
they have all the answers. I don't care
Right.
if they know the years that people were died or born or I don't care about any of those things, not even in the littlest bit.
Right.
Because it's all like in your pocket. Like even math, I'm like,
Yeah,
you're gonna have a calculator in your pocket. If you're not going to college and I don't and this is a bold statement, but I don't believe college is for everyone.
I agree.
We are really wanting to raise our boys to be entrepreneurs. Like
Yeah.
that, like entrepreneurs, like in ministry, like that is way more my heart than just sending them to college just because that's like the mainstream way.
Yeah.
And if they're not going to college, they don't need higher level math. It is not a necessity. And if they ever need to know anything, A, they know how to learn it because they've been homeschooled and they know how to find the answers.
Yeah.
And B, they could probably ask ChatGPT in their pocket. Not only do they have a calculator in their pocket, but they have ChatGPT at this point. So it's like some of that stuff, like I would rather them learn the character and the skills to
Yeah.
be resourceful and to find the answers and to be creative and to be able to communicate well. I
Yes.
think that's way more important these
I
days.
agree.
And I don't feel like the public school system is going to change fast enough for that, to be honest.
I agree. I mean, you spoke directly to my heart on that one. I agree. I saw that your boys were writing in their journals of the I am statements.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I love that. And I want to use that because you're totally right. Those character moments are where it's at. And just the fact that and one of my favorite things, like, we were grabbing breakfast this morning and it was a kiosk that you had to order at. And an older lady came in and she was frustrated because there was nobody working the front desk. And I said, well, I can help work the kiosk for you. Like, what do you want? And so, like, I helped her. But, like, kids, when they're with you all the time and you just are a kind and beautiful person, like, they see that and then they grow up to be kind people. Like, I want my kids to understand how you don't have to agree with everybody's thoughts. You're never going to agree 100% with anybody. Like, I love my husband more than life itself. I don't agree with him 100% of the time. So,
I
how do we function in this world with people that we may or may not agree with? How do we be good, Jesus like Christians? Because, like, the I don't want to be the judgmental Christian. I want people to see the light of God through me. And I want my kids to spread that light. And I want them to be able to share about Jesus and their faith. And I want them to be able to just be really good people. You know, that is my biggest goal in life is to make them just a really good person that people are comfortable with and, can know that if they have a huge problem that they can come to them and that they can not feel judged, but that they are going to point them back to Christ every step of the way because he is ultimately the answer no matter what.
Yeah. Well, and I love that you said that because I think so many times, even in the homeschool space, moms are so focused on the kids that they're
Right.
not growing personally. And
Mm-hmm.
really, so much of what we teach our kids is caught, not taught.
Yes.
And so I feel like that is probably the most impactful thing we can do as homeschool moms or public school moms or, any
Right.
parent is to continue to grow ourselves so that our kids model that. So
Yeah.
they see that. I mean, I was having a conversation with my 6-year-old last night. It was like 11 o'clock at night. He is like sometimes does not want to go to bed and he
Yeah.
just wants to chat. And we had just gotten back from a trip. So I was like letting him and he was like talking to me about like how he can control his mind. He's 6.
Yeah.
And he's trying to tell me how to like relax and go to sleep. And like he will like come back and teach you.
As he's wide awake.
I know. He was like, it's so sweet to see
It
when
is.
they start to catch things and they start to overhear you talking about things.
Yep.
It is like, oh my gosh, it just like melts my heart. I'm like, that's the best part right there. Like, I
Right.
don't care if you know all your history and all of your grammar. I mean, again, we have autocorrect everything these days,
Right.
but that piece, like that's the piece. And the flip side of that, and part of the reason I actually started homeschooling was there was a situation at school with my oldest where there was a teacher that was just playing different things in the classroom that wasn't appropriate. It wasn't age appropriate. And it was just not the kind of fruit I want poured into them. And she also like just shared some of her personal life and this was like I think he was in 4th grade and it was
Yeah.
just very shocking to my system to see like what he was being exposed to at school and when you send your kids to school, that's 8 hours a day
Yeah.
that they're being poured into from something that you may or may not agree with, and you may
Right.
never even find out about. Like there could be something
Yeah.
that they catch, like not are taught, but caught at school, not only from the teacher, from another peer, from all these things. And I am not about, I mean, like we world school our kids. We travel full time like around the world. So I am not
Right.
like saying we should shelter our kids,
No.
but to have them to be the primary person pouring into them, it is huge. And then also to, be there with them when they're
Mm-hmm.
having experiences and being exposed to things. Because I'll tell you, we've been to some rough places and my kids have been exposed to things,
Yeah.
but we're there with them when it happens. And so then it's a conversation starter. Like,
Yeah.
so that's more powerful, I think, than, like, so anyways, I just felt like I needed to chime in on that because
No, I love it. I love that. And you're totally and completely right. Like, my daughter is 11, so starting to get into the age where like she has questions. And I had a friend I was chatting about the other day. She was like, "Do we need to not have this conversation in front of her?" And I was like, "I don't shelter my kids. Like, obviously, there is things that I don't like throw in their face. Like, I'm not trying to like, drown them in worldly things by any
yeah,
means." But
Especially
at
age
the same
appropriateness,
right.
sometimes. Yeah.
Right, absolutely. And I mean, I don't have every conversation in front of her, but there are things that I do feel like we are meant to coach through that. And I think that we have the greatest book ever written, and it covers a multitude of sins, and it talks about so much that you have so many answers in that book, and how to handle it and how to deal with the things and all of, like our thank God for the Bible, right? Thank you, Lord, for speaking that.
Amen.
Um, because yeah, I mean, and again, in a restaurant, we ran into somebody who wasn't sure where they lied on gender and had like the long nails and had like all of the things that did not match with how they looked.
Yeah.
And so Addison kind of looked at me and like she followed my lead. I was kind and everything else. I treated this person just like I would anybody else in this world because there's no way you're going to get through to the heart of anybody through being ugly. Like
Oh,
there's just no way you're going to reach souls for God by being rude or mean or anything else. But there's also, I mean, you're right. Like, I love the fact that you talked about the fact that you are teaching them through those moments because there are so many situations in the world that they're going to run into. And being there and walking through it with them and telling them what the Bible says about it and telling them what God says about it or thinks about it to our best understanding. And even being able to say, I don't 100% know, but I know that we can pray over it. Like I don't 100% have the answer to this hard thing that you just saw. Like a good friend of hers, has been adopted and had to go through hard stuff with her mom. And like we've had those conversations
yeah.
and why and how these things happen to good people, and like just being able to spend all day, every day with them and connect with their hearts and for them to be able to come to you and be confident in the conversation and the fact that they can talk to you about anything and that you're going to fill them with love as well.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
for
love
sure.
that.
I do too, definitely. Okay, so let's talk about some of the hurdles or the things that people may come up against when they decide to homeschool. So, like, how do you handle criticism or doubt from friends, family, and all of that when that comes up? Or have you experienced that?
Oh, girl, I have experienced that. One of my very best friends, whom I love with every ounce of my being, has her master's degree. She went to school in New York, has her master's degree in teaching, and was my biggest critic when I started homeschooling. She was just beside herself whenever I started homeschooling. I was so nervous to talk to her about it. And to be fair, and the reason that I talked earlier about give yourself a couple of years, to be fair, what I have seen her deal with is like people decide that they're going to homeschool their child, they pull them out for a year, realize it's hard, put them back in school, and now the child's another year behind. And so
Yeah.
she's got to figure out as the educator how to catch them up. That's like the biggest no-no. Like, just don't do it. If you're gonna pull them out, be ready to stick out the path because you've got to get them caught up. You got to get them caught up. Anyways, um, I think that the best way to go through it is by showing them. Like you can't preach to somebody to make them change their mind. But now her husband asked me the other day, when are you going to put these kids in school? And she from the other room goes, never. And now she's sending people to my podcast. Like now we have grown to
Yeah.
the place where she fully and completely supports me. She knows that my kids are not being neglected. She realizes that they are intelligent, capable, all of the things. But that's just because she's watched my journey. So, there are, and going back to the very beginning, my husband said the same thing as far as like, you're gonna homeschool. Aren't those kids weird? And I just was like, it's what God told me to do.
Totally.
And that's what I'm gonna do. If
Yeah.
she turns out weird, then it is what it is. But you
But
know
it's
what?
probably good these days. I don't know. I
Yeah,
want them to be like everybody else.
there's weird kids in public school too,
Yeah.
like weird is weird. And I think that it is something to be said. Like, I can pretty much talk to a brick wall. My daughter can pretty much talk to a brick wall. She's not socially awkward because
Same.
I'm not socially awkward. So you also do have to remember with your homeschooling, like your kids are going to take after like your cues on environment. But anyways, I think that you may not be able to convince them otherwise, other than to just do the work, show up, do the work, pour into your kids, watch them change, and they're going to see it for themselves. And you know what? If it's a short-term person, if it's a person that doesn't really matter in life, like they're checking you out at the, I don't say doesn't matter in life,
Right.
like they
Yeah.
don't matter that they exist. They don't matter as far as like it's not going to change your world what they say, then let it roll off your back. I think that part of my school homeschooling journey, like my mom schooling journey, has been just being able to release the people pleasing because you're not going to be able to please everybody. Everybody's going to have a different opinion.
Well, not only that, but I feel like people give way too much credit and weight to the words of people that they don't actually want to be in their shoes. Like, don't take advice or opinions of people that are not where you want to be.
Hmm.
Don't give any weight to that.
Yes.
Because really, I mean, there's been so many people in my life that have had, things to say about us homeschooling. And we've been homeschooling, gosh, I think we're on 11 years now. But
Yeah.
when we first started, I didn't part of me was like, I don't care what they think because I'm a little rebellious in that way.
Yeah.
And I very much am not, I generally go against the mainstream. And so I'm used to that. But it's also that I don't want to be where you are.
Yeah.
So why would I care what you think? Like,
I agree.
I don't want to do it that way because I don't want that fruit of doing it that way. So
Right.
so I think that's another thing to take into consideration too. Also, you know your kids better than anyone. And
Hmm.
so when it comes down to it, it doesn't matter. Like, yes, if you're going to put them back in school, you have to catch them up and they've got to be at like age level or like you want them to be as close to that as possible. But if
Right.
homeschooling,
It doesn't matter.
there is no level.
There is no level. And like you said, there's so many other things than just the academic grade level. Like there's so many other things in life. I have a friend that I talked to for almost 2 years about homeschooling before she finally made the decision to jump in and do it. And her children, this is her first year. Like she's finishing up her first year homeschooling. I can visibly see the change in her children's demeanor, their confidence. They're not as stressed anymore. And she's like, even if we do like an assessment, she's like, they have like these flashbacks of like testing and they start panicking. But they're so much calmer, cooler, collected, and more capable of just like going with the flow and being and just it's a beautiful thing to see how much a year of homeschooling can do for a child in their wellness mentally,
Yeah,
physically, all of the things,
yeah,
because if you feel confident mentally, you perform more confidently.
for sure.
So I think that I think that that definitely is helpful along the way with homeschooling. Is just like if you're okay with letting go of the grade level and you're okay with them just being where they are. And you're right. I don't my kids can go to college if they want to, and then they don't have to if they don't want to. I don't really care one way or the other. I just want them to um be able to learn to love learning.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing.
Well, and I think homeschooling gives them the space to figure out A, what their interests are
Yeah.
and where their strengths are and what they really want to do. Like it gives them the
Yes.
space to be unique. And
Hmm.
whereas I think in school a lot of the times it's like they're put in this box and you got to like fit in the box.
Yeah.
And I feel like homeschooling has made me see that it's really allowed my kids to be really unique and really dig into what they want and what they're interested in. And, one of my twins is since he was like 5 or 6, he's wanted a lawn care business. And this is like his jam. Like
I
we
love
go to people's houses and he's like, "Can I work on your lawn?" Like that's his big ask. Like
love it.
that's like his thing. And so we talk to him and he's very entrepreneurial and he talks to people and he's very social and he's very and he'll even like talk about or like ask about like what kind of things do I need to know to do that well,
Yeah.
And honest, he's not the most academically like inclined. Like he works really hard. He's a very hard worker, but it's not easy for him. But I don't
Yeah.
worry about him in the least bit because
No.
I know that like he's gonna make it. I mean, he has more money in his bank account than any of his brothers. Like he already is like finding ways to, it's just incredible to see and to watch them kind of find their own little things
Yeah.
and let's support them in that rather than saying, no, but you've got to go to college. Like, what is college going to do for a lawn care business? Come on now.
No,
You know?
exactly because I mean, I think even Mark Cuban like dropped out of college because he was like, I'm pretty sure I can do this better. Like
You can learn
I,
whatever you want to learn online. You don't need
yes.
school for it anymore.
No,
Yeah.
absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I think that, going into like what it is that they love, like my daughter has learned to really enjoy cooking. And can we just dive into the fact that, okay, your son loves lawn care? That's science, guys. That's science. He will end up having to probably do some measuring because I'm sure that there is some diluting of different things that you would be putting on the lawn to make it, those things can play into school. I mean, so here in North Carolina, we have state requirements as far as like you have to do so many days of school. And I just struggle with that because once you're a teacher, you're a teacher
Yeah.
and you teach them in every crack of the day. Like they can learn math and science and anything that they find love
Yeah.
for. My
Right.
daughter learns math and fractions and doubling recipes or halving recipes or whatever when she's cooking and she loves to cook.
Mhm.
Girlfriend found a video the other day on growing a lemon tree. She currently has a lemon tree in my windowsill in my kitchen
That.
that she grew from a seed. I
Yeah.
come in and I find this paper towel inside of a Ziploc bag tucked in one of my drawers in my kitchen. And I'm like, what is this? And she's like, I'm growing a lemon tree. Okay, but that's not even weird to me.
I
Like,
know. I know. My kids would do stuff like that all the time. I love
it's
that.
so usual.
That is so great. Oh gosh.
It's so
Wow.
fun. But there's math and there's science and there's things in all of the skills that they are enjoying, yet you don't have to teach it to them and pound them into their head because they are willing to go look for the answers because they're interested in it because it's their God-given gift that he has put inside of them, that he is working to teach them something, even if they don't use it, even if she doesn't become a chef
Yeah.
later on in life. It's giving her exactly the stepping stones that she needs in order to be where he wants her to be. And I'm okay with that.
Mm.
I'm okay with it.
So good. I love that. Well, gosh, I feel like we could talk about this literally all day. So
For
I'm
sure.
gonna start wrapping us up here. But as we wrap up, I would love for you to share maybe like a book. Like what was one of your favorite books that you read when you got into your homeschool journey and that really blessed you in this walk?
Book that has really blessed me in this walk. There are so many good books in this journey.
There are. It's hard to
But
pick.
I think more than anything, one of the books that has helped me more than anything, and this is not a homeschooling book by any means, but there's a book called It's Faster Than Normal, and it's about ADHD. And I think whenever you learn yourself, you get to become a better parent for them. And so I've read, Wild and Free, For the Children's Sake, like all of the homeschooling classics. But I think that you're right in the fact that you as a person have to grow in order to be able to be the best parent and the best teacher for them. Um, and so I love that book. The Faster Than Normal really helped me to figure out how to take my differences and my things that are different from me and make them better. And I think that whenever I can do that, then I can also pour into my kids and see their differences and help them to make themselves grow and better. So I know that's totally not like the normal homeschooling book, but at the same time, I really do want to pour into it's important for you to grow too, mom. Like it's important for you to take care of yourself. And I think that matters just as much as. So I will say for the children's sake and Wild and Free, all of those books, there's a billion homeschooling books. There is. You can pick up 5 million books and learn so much. There's such goodness in it. But um grow you too, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I always liked teaching from rest. It
Yes.
helped me come from more of a place of peace because I can sometimes be too hard on myself. My first year in homeschooling, I overschooled my preschooler. I
Yeah.
added to the curriculum.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wanted to do it right. I wanted to get it right. And every year since then has looked so wildly different. But I feel like that was really good. But I love that. I think that's the most important thing is growing yourself and
Hmm.
really then that's where the fruit lies, you know? And
Yeah.
so awesome. Well, tell us where people can find you. I'll put all the links below, but
Right. So I am currently the Confidence to Homeschool podcast. I am working on a second podcast, Growing Through Motherhood, so that the two can kind of help, your mom wherever you are. So that is really where I'm at right now. I don't do a ton with social media yet, but I'll let you know if I end up getting caught up on that.
awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. It was so nice chatting with you, and I'm
Thank
sure we'll talk
you.
again soon.
Yes, thank you so much. That was wonderful. I appreciate it.